Those of you that follow this channel may be familiar with my comic book work, but what some of you might not know is a long time ago, I created a children's show. Greetings everyone, welcome to the underground lair where we bring our creations to life. I'm Scott with Serkworks Art Labs. I'm a professional illustrator, designer, and mad creator. What some of you might not know though is that a long time ago I created a children's show. I don't talk about it much, it's kind of in the past, but I am proud of the work that I did on it. It was a fun project, and I worked on it for a number of years, and we got pretty far with it as far as these type of things go. So I thought, it would be fun, maybe, hopefully it's fun for you guys, but I just thought, I'd like this to exist, in more than just my memory. So I thought I would talk a little bit about it just so it's out there on YouTube. I'm gonna go through some of the artwork and everything, some of the production that went into it. And you know what I think I'm gonna do too, is I think I'm gonna actually upload the pilot to that onto YouTube, so you guys can check it out. I'm gonna keep it private, so it doesn't really have much else to do with this channel. I don't know how many people would be interested in watching it. Like I said, it is a kid's show. It's for younger audiences, like maybe a little over preschool, so but it's fun. It's sort of got we created it back in the 90s. It's got very much an environmental theme to it, some fun characters, and we just had a lot of fun with that. So, when we created it, this is back in the 90s that we created it. So, it was available on VHS, believe it or not. So most people don't have VHS anymore. A lot of people don't even have DVD. So I thought I would just upload it to YouTube so it's there. So if for whatever reason I wanted to show somebody or something, it's up there. So I'm gonna do that. I'll put a link to it in the somewhere in the description or whatever. You guys can check it out. It'll be private, but you'll be able to access it through that link. But I thought I'll just talk about this children's show that I created called The Adventures of Alex the Ape. Okay, so the purpose of this video is just to show you some behind the scenes stuff. I was digging through some old artwork, kind of setting up a new studio and everything, going through a bunch of stuff, and I pulled out a lot of this stuff from this children's show that I created a long time ago. And I thought, hey, it might be fun just to show some of this off or whatever, because I'm just going to pack it back up and I'll probably never look at it, but if I'm curious, then maybe I can look at this video. And I thought maybe some of you guys would be interested in something that I did a long time ago. This is back in the early 90s that we were creating this, or mid 90s, I think. So it was a children's show I created. It started off, basically this was the first kind of piece we put together, and it evolved quite a bit from there. You'll see as we go further, the characters kind of changed and kind of evolved and started to look better in my opinion. But this was the first kind of thing we did. And it was a lot of comic books. This was what we were trying to, eventually, in the beginning we were submitting this to like syndicates. If you're familiar, back in the day, there were these things called newspapers, and they had comic strips that ran in them, and so we were trying to do this syndicated comic strip. Oh, and I guess I should rewind a little bit, tell you about this guy here, Rick Adams. Oh, can you see that? Yes, sorry about the glare. So Rick Adams, and if you see, he's holding this little, it looks like a monkey, but it's actually a gibbon ape. And this was his pet, and I kind of got together with him, and he wanted, basically his goal was, his dream was to make Alex, this little gibbon ape, a role model for kids. And unfortunately, Rick passed away many years ago. That's kind of one of the things that kind of ended the whole, well, I guess it didn't end it, but after that, there wasn't much future in it. But anyway, but anyway, his goal was to make Alex a role model for kids. And like I said, we started off doing these comic strips, and it quickly became evident that, most kids don't read the newspapers. Comics, even though I read comic strips as a kid, they weren't really geared toward kids necessarily. They were more geared for adults to read, and then kids would read them too, but it was basically kind of an adult medium. So quickly we kind of shift focus, and we decided what we need to do was make a children's show. And that was easier said than done, because at the time we didn't know anything. We were just kind of grasping at straws. We didn't really know what we were doing, but we got better as we went, and eventually it became came, we had a couple false starts with some videos that we shot, and they didn't turn out that great, but we learned enough along the way that I think our third try, we shot a really awesome pilot, and we shopped it around, and we actually got it optioned by a Hollywood studio. And then once it got to that point, they kind of helped us put together this, and this is sort of the treatment, and it talks about the characters and everything, but I'll get into that a little more. So as far as these, comic strips, that was just, we started off doing that, but that was not really the direction that it needed to go. Here you can see a little better picture of Alex there. He's a cute little guy. So once we realized that the comic strips weren't the way to go, we started getting into doing some coloring books and things like that. But really, like I said, it all started off. I mean, we kind of found our stride when we started getting into developing this children's show, and I'm going to pull out some of the stuff. So these are some of our characters. These are just little headshots of some of our different characters here. I'll kind of flip through and I'll talk about, let's see, let me pull through here. We'll get to the actual characters and I'll explain a little bit about them. So I guess these aren't in any particular order, but so this is Nessa. She is the sea dragon. So basically everything takes place in this place right here, Mystic Island. Now Mystic Island is a place where almost anything can happen, where all the legends come from. So if you heard of like Sasquatch or Bigfoot, it originates in here. The Loch Ness Monster, all these different legends, cryptids and things like that. We didn't really get into cryptids because it's like a kid's show and it's supposed to be fun and everything. But all the different legends, basically this is a place where all that stuff can happen. So a lot of the characters, like Nessa here, is based on the Loch Ness Monster. And she's a sea dragon. And then we've got this guy here is one of my favorites. Let me see. Bewilderbeast, and he's sort of the Bigfoot character. Let me see. And here's our main character right here. That's Alex the ape. Again, based on the real life gibbon ape Alex. And let's see, and then Tootsie is a parrot, and she was also another pet that Rick had. He had this talking parrot that had this crazy vocabulary. I mean, it just said so much stuff. So we kind of worked her into it. And then, of course, you've got to have a villain. Now, the whole series was sort of an environmental, we wanted to bring awareness to environmental causes and things like that. So no surprise. And you're going to find, if you're going to find a lot of this stuff, you may see some of the impetus of what I'm doing with Serkworks, all the mad scientist stuff. It kind of evolved even back here. I was really big into like mad science and everything like that. So this is the villain, Dr. Ludlow, and he's kind of a megalomaniac, mad scientist who kind of like a Bond villain, but of course this is for kids. But he just does, he doesn't care about the environment or anything. He's out to make millions and or take over the world or whatever he wants to do. And then of course he's got a sidekick, Lumpy, who is sort of the Igor type, who always tries to thwart his plans, Dr. Ludlow's plans, because he wants to do everything that Ludlow. He's kind of like basically like Starscream, if you know anything about Transformers. He's kind of trying to undermine them and everything. And then Think Tank, which is an invention that Dr. Ludlow built, and it's just these three brains that kind of quibble, and he's trying to use them as basically a supercomputer to help him come up with formulas and things like that. They don't really want to do his bidding, but they kind of don't have a choice because they're kind of trapped, these brains in these jars. So that's Think Tank. And then let's see, here's just some different versions. There's Alex kind of swinging through the trees. This is kind of the main kind of pose. We use this one quite a bit. Alex swinging on these vines. Let's see, and then there were just different. There were also once we shot our pilot and we presented it to some of these studios, and we actually had one of them option it. They wanted to kind of branch out, not just with the environmental aspect, but other things. So just any kind of educational stuff, like the different food groups and stuff, and health and things like that. So it was going to, at that point, it was going to expand into other areas. So we had these little, we're going to build these little puppets and everything, because everything was puppets. and live action and things like that. Again, here's all our little headshots, and then these are just some little scenes that we created to help tell the story to shop this thing around. All right, and then this one, I showed you this map before. Here's another version of the map, and this one was actually a prop from the video. I think the characters were holding this up or something. I think this was actually in one of the videos. But yeah, it's cool. This is the giant megalopolis area where Ludlow kind of owns it, Dr. Ludlow. That's his castle right here. This is his factory that's spewing out smoke and everything. And this is the little town of Comfort Cove where all the heroes live and everything. And it was sort of a battle like our heroes. They built everything was makeshift. They built things out of wood and stuff like that against all the technology and stuff like that. And of course, there's an amusement park and a big volcano and all that kind of stuff. But here, let me show off some of this stuff here. So here, this is Dr. Ludlow's castle. So just a rendering of that. These are all just concept drawings and everything. This is Tootsie's Sweet Treat Shop, and that's so the parrot, she ran this little sweet shop, and it was kind of the local hangout for our heroes and everything. Well, I guess it originally was Tootsie's Pop Stop, and we changed it to Sweet Treat Shop or something. I don't remember exactly. So this is the interior of the treehouse where Alex and his friends live. This is one of the different concepts we did, and we built it. We ended up building all these sets ourselves, and they came out pretty good. Like I said, the third time around. Now the way each show starts off, it starts off in sort of the real world with so there's a character called Ranger Raleigh, and he kind of introduces the scene, and there's like a book right here. He starts to tell the story, and he comes in with the real Alex, the real Alex the ape, and he'll sit and he'll talk and everything, and he's got some kids around that listen to the stories, and he'll start telling the stories. Then once he begins the stories, then we get into the cartoon version of Alex, and then these are some of Ludlow's invention. This is, I'm trying to remember what this was called, but it was kind of a thing that would transform your brain into something else, into transparent brains or whatever. This is the Ludbot 3000, and basically what this is his big scheme in the pilot episode, was that he was going to destroy the ozone layer so that he could sell these super suits for everyone to wear that would protect them from the sun's harmful rays and everything. So his idea was just destroy the ozone layer, heat up the earth, and everyone would need to buy these suits from him. So, and then here's the interior of Dr. Ludlow's lab. Kind of cool. It was fun building that set. And then, like as you can see, if this kind of translated into what I started doing later with Serkworks. I was always really big in the like Rube Goldberg machines and things like that. So this is a little gadget that Ludlow built, a little Rube Goldberg machine that would basically throw trash into another. One of the failed starts we had was one called Trash Busters, and we had an animator do it, and it did not look good. But anyway, that was one of our earlier stops. You know, these are Pogs. If anyone remembers, these are some sketches for Pogs for some of our characters. But this one I really had fun with. This was the treehouse for Alex and his friends. This is the exterior. We did this after we shot the pilot, so the one in the show, it isn't quite as elaborate. This is what we designed after it was option. So once we were planning on going into production with the series and everything, this would have been what it would look like, and that would have been really fun to build that prop, and that was just really fun set to build. Here's another newer version of Dr. Ludlow's lab with Ludlow and Lumpy in there. And the set in the pilot actually looks really similar to this. So after we got an option and everything, one thing you have to do is you have to create a treatment, and you have to not only show the pilot, but you have to talk about what some of the future episodes are going to be like. So these are some of the different ones. Let's see. This is from What's Cooking, where we introduced this character called Salmonella, and he was a chef, and he was trying to cook endangered species, and this red-toed tree sloth, this Slothmore character, he was trying to, it's pretty morbid when I think about it for a kid, but we were trying to be a little edgy, even though it was kind of we were trying to go a little older than preschool, even though it was puppets and things like that. I'm not sure how successful, but this is his house and everything. This is another character that comes down to Mystic Island from Earth. He's an alien called Zoltar the Obliterator. And he just doesn't understand Earth and how it works and stuff. And just, I forgot what the story was. Was this from a particular, I'm not sure if that was a particular, Space Disgrace. That was, Alex, I think, goes to space. Or no, here's another one where he travels back in time, and that's our little time machine that I created. Here's another, this is Alex's makeshift balloon from an episode called Acid Rainmaker, where he goes to thwart Ludlow from doing some kind of thing with acid rain. I don't remember exactly. Dr. Ludlow's electricity siphoner from Frankenlow. So this is when he's going to actually build it like a Frankenstein type monster called Frankenlow. And this is he's draining all the energy from the city. And then this is Frankenlow here, and this is just, so you can kind of see, and he's putting on the head, and of course it's got the crazy hair like the mad scientist. This is the kitchen from that What's Cooking episode that we were working on with Salmonella. This is Ludlow's trash blaster from Space Disgrace. So this is where he's blasting his trash out into space, and Alex has to go into space and again thwart his plans. And then, as you can see, this is Alex's spacesuit. So like I said, everything Alex does is kind of built out of just stuff they find around. He doesn't have a lot of technology and stuff, so he built a spacesuit out of, like, it looks like home insulation and a trash can lid and duct tape and these latches and radios and a vacuum cleaner and foil and all this stuff. Of course, we don't have to explain how all that works, but yeah, that's kind of fun. And here's some other ones. There was Alex or Dr. Ludlow built a cloned Alex using the little strand of Alex's hair and created this evil Alex clone. So there's the evil Alex clone chopping down a tree. That was kind of fun. That was from an episode called Double Trouble. And these are just some logo designs. This is Astroglaze from Acid Rainmaker. I think that he was trying to sell something that would protect things from acid rain, and you have to be coated with this Astroglaze stuff. And then, of course, Ludlow would rain acid rain down on everyone, so they have to get that. And then Toxic Land was an amusement park that Dr. Ludlow was going to build, all based on like toxic themes and just kind of crazy stuff. So, like I said, one of the things we wanted to do, which we never got to that point, was we wanted to develop. We would have liked to do animation, but animation was just so expensive. So these are just some versions of what the characters. This is all cell shaded or cell painted. If you look on the back, let's see. And of course, it's so old that the film is all discolored and everything. But it's all cell shaded, painted on the back and everything. But that's what the characters would have looked like if they were animated, which would have been fun. I think that would have helped us with kind of the little older age group that we were going after. So here's some stuff. Here's a pose of Alex and this logo, which we went like an Indiana Jones type thing just to show adventure, but put serifs on it and everything. But that was one of the first drawings. I'm not really crazy about the color here on here. This one is a much better kind of version of what we ultimately went with. So that's Alex kind of swinging. These are all done traditionally airbrushed, way back before computers were that prevalent. When we used to airbrush stuff by hand, it's so much easier now with Photoshop. And then this here is the actual cassette. This is, like I said, this is back in the 90s, so before DVDs were popular and everything. This was the actual pilot, and we actually distributed this. We had it in some regional blockbusters locally in Arizona and everything, and then I think we did some other shows in some other states. Like we would go with our costume characters and everything, and then we'd have kids meet them and have the videos playing and sell them and everything. So we would do stuff like that. But this is kind of what got us the deal. The video, and like I said, I'm gonna post this. I'll put a link in the description of this video. It'll be a private link, so you won't be able to find it unless you click on that link. But if you're curious, you can watch it. Like I said, it's a kid's show, but if you're all curious of something that I did back when I was in my 20s, then you might you might like that. But if you look at this artwork, I'm going to show you the actual artwork, and you can see it's quite a bit bigger here. This is the actual artwork from, again, all airbrush. I don't even think I can fit it all on screen, but yeah, this was a fun one to do. I guess I could put it like that, but I mean, you can see how massive. I mean, something as big as this, and it kind of went down to this, but that's the original artwork for that. And then, you know, we did some other cool stuff too. We actually had some toys and things that we sold. Rick definitely wanted to have you know, plush toys and things like that, and we sold some of them. We got a small batch made and everything, but I was kind of like, we're kind of jumping the gun here. The show's got to be out before anyone cares about the toys, but we did produce a number of toys, and this is the Alex toy. It's a plush toy. He's kind of a cute little guy, but it's cool. It was cool just to have this, you know, especially when I was in my 20s and we created this thing, and then we're actually producing little toys based on it. That was pretty awesome. Here's well, I should show you this too. So there's two versions of Alex. This is the kind of cartoon version, and then of course we also had the real Alex. We just called him the real Alex, and he's got Velcro here, and he can hang on you and stuff like that. So this one, you know, this one sold pretty well because he didn't actually have to. You didn't have to know anything about the show. You know, if we brought the real Alex anywhere, then people would see it like, oh, I want one of those. I want a monkey, or everyone said it was a monkey because, you know, I guess the distinction, which I didn't know, the monkeys have tails, apes don't, and gibbon apes don't have tails. So here's Nessa. This is the plush of Nessa, and then of course Tootsie, which the hat's kind of, I think we went back to the drawing board on this because this is kind of the prototype we got back, and it's just not good for kids because it's not plushy, you know. So we had them make a more plushy hat, but I don't have that one. We went through so many different rounds and like, oh no, this is okay, we need to change that and all that stuff. But this one here is by far my favorite, Bewilderbeast. Yeah, I just love this guy. This guy is one of my favorite characters or whatever that I created. And he's kind of a big goofy oaf. Like I said, if you're interested, you can watch the show. I'll leave a link to it and everything. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of show off some of the stuff that I created a long time ago, just for, it's kind of fun to relive some of this stuff. So that's something I did back when I was younger. And like I said, a lot of what I learned doing this is what it kind of translated into kind of what I do now. My infatuation with like mad science and all that kind of stuff and all that stuff. I mean, a lot of that came from this being like my first project and working on it. My first like entertainment project. I had done some stuff before there. I did some stuff for like Warner Brothers studio stores and all kinds of other stuff before that kind of ended up getting me in a position where I could do something like this. But I'm pretty happy with it. You know, it was a bummer that it didn't get further than this. Like I said, we did get an option by a Hollywood studio, and then like most things, you know, eventually the option ran out. There were some changes in the management. The people that were really behind it ended up going somewhere else, and those things happen. If you know anything about selling a TV show, it is about the hardest thing to do in the world. So anything you see on TV, for it to get that far, that's quite a feat. Even if something gets on the air and doesn't, and then it's canceled, that's still pretty amazing. So we got pretty far, but not quite far enough. But it's still fun. It was a great project and everything. And so that's the Adventures of Alex. Okay, so there you go. Hopefully that was interesting for you guys. Like I said, it was more just kind of self-serving for me. I just wanted to chronicle, you know, some of the work that I did on there. So if anyone's curious, you know, I could just point them to this video or whatever, or like I said, that the actual pilot can exist online. We had a lot of fun in the production and everything, creating it and everything, and it was a cool time in my life. Especially I was very young then, so it was kind of a big accomplishment back then for me to create something like that. And I'm proud of it. So I wanted to put it here on YouTube. So hopefully that was fun for you guys. It was definitely fun for me. And we'll be back next week with the kind of the regular type programming. But anyway, hopefully you liked it. I'll talk to you guys later. That is all. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. Also, you can follow me at Serkworks on social media, and now you can support the work that I do on Patreon. Do you like making comics? Then go to Serkworks.com and pick up the Comic Maker Starter Kit. It's packed full of fonts, brushes, templates, and more. And best of all, it's totally free.